Hi, everybody. So, Halloween was on Tuesday, and I wanted to talk about Halloween and thriller movies that we have watched. This is a cumulative list based on movies that we have watched since 2021, because I don't think we ever technically reviewed these movies when we originally watched them. So let me just get my list up. So the first movie which we watch every Halloween is the animated movie Corpse Bride. Corpse Bride is an animated movie that was directed by Tim Burton, who also directed The Nightmare Before Christmas. Corpse Bride focuses on a groom who is nervous to get married, so he goes into the woods and ends up falling down a hole, kind of like an Alice in Wonderland, and then he falls in love and gets engaged to a corpse bride, and hilarity ensues. It's a cute movie. My favorite character in this movie is probably Victoria, who is the bride, and then Emily, who is the corpse bride. The voices in this movie are by Johnny Depp and Helena Bonham Carter. And my least favorite character is the rich snobby guy who tries to marry the main character, Victoria, when Victor disappears. Victor was voiced by Johnny Depp. And then I agree the rest of the way with the Wicked Binge ranking of characters from this movie. The next movie I wanted to talk about, is Frankenweenie. Frankenweenie is another movie that is directed by Tim Burton. It's about a kid named Victor, who I'm assuming is the same character from Corpse Bride, only younger. And in this movie, the main character loses his dog and builds like a Frankenstein version of his dog for the school science fair. So we were watching this movie the other day, but our DVD from the library really had issues with the sound, so we really had trouble figuring out what was going on because there was no sound and there was no subtitles. So we couldn't really see any of the text that was going on in the movie either because there were no subtitles. So based on what parts of the movie we were able to see because the sound kept going in and out on the DVD, we gave the movie a B. The next movie I wanted to talk about is Knives Out. This was a murder mystery movie that was set in New England, and it starred a whole bunch of great celebrities like Jamie Lee Curtis and Christopher Plummer from The Sound of Music, who passed away shortly after this movie was made. Rest in peace. So this was a murder mystery, and they were trying to figure out who killed the father. And there was a lot of suspense and action in this movie that we really enjoyed. I don't want to spoil the ending for you in case you guys want to see this movie and haven't gotten a chance to see it yet. We gave Knives Out a B-. The next movie I wanted to talk about is Leprechaun. We reviewed this movie in our previous Serious Issues in the Media video, and I wanted to review it separately from the rest of our video that we're going to be making next week, just because it's not really related to the media tackling serious issues, while the movie does feature an actress from Friends. So this was Jennifer Aniston's first movie before she did Friends. It came out in the mid-'80s, and her character in this movie basically reminds me of Rachel Green in the beginning seasons of Friends when she's really whiny and pretentious and bratty. So I wasn't a big fan of her character because I don't like Rachel in the earlier seasons of Friends. I like her much better when she's more settled in her career and more career focused than I do in the first seasons. As for the movie itself, it was dull and the plot kind of meandered along, and I actually kind of fell asleep. The next movie I wanted to talk about is Scream. We watched Scream on TV in the beginning of September. It was on the American Movie Channel. Scream stars Courtney Cox, and she is not the main character in this movie. Neve Campbell from the movie with Matthew Perry, Three to Tango. She plays the lead character, Sydney, who is being stalked by a slasher killer who is going around the town killing teenage girls. And I mean, basically the movie reveals midway through who the killer is, and is her boyfriend Billy, because the principal kind of calls them out on their bad behavior, but they don't stop. Billy and his friend Stu. So there's a spoiler for you guys who have never seen Scream. I don't know how the movie ends because it was on TV and I had to switch the channel halfway through to watch Friends. And when we borrowed the movie from the library, it was not the version that was the original version. It was the version of Scream that came out a couple of years ago, so it wasn't the first version. It was more like Scream 3 or Scream 4. So hopefully we'll be able to watch the whole movie soon. In this movie, Courtney Cox plays a character. She plays the news reporter, Gail Weathers, who is reporting on the murders of the teenagers. And I really did not like her character in this movie very much. It's probably my least favorite Courtney Cox movie role. Even though the only two movies I've really seen with her in them so far are Ace Ventura, Pet Detective, and this movie. And also the show Cougar Town, which I love. The next movie that I wanted to talk about is The Nightmare Before Christmas. This is by the same people who directed Corpse Bride and Frankenweenie, Tim Burton. Catherine O'Hara from Schitt's Creek and Home Alone does the voice of Sally. I love the Villain Song by Oogie Boogie, and I also love the song that Sally sings. And what makes this movie cool is the liveliness of the characters in Halloween Town, and also like what Christmas Town looks like when Jack Skellington goes there. So this movie can either be considered a Halloween movie or a Christmas movie. And I wanted to know which season you watch this movie most of the time in. Matt and I typically tend to watch it during both seasons. And we watch it kind of an intermediary movie, like when Halloween is over, but it's not quite Christmas yet. So the next two movies that I wanted to talk about were Under Wraps and Under Wraps 2. These were two Disney Channel original movies that we watched last year at a Halloween party at our friend Katie Mayo's house. And it's basically movies about a group of teenage high school kids who bring Egyptian mummies to life, and they're like roaming around the town, like causing havoc and terror. And it was a really good movie. Like, we don't really get to watch a lot of Disney Channel original movies that much anymore. I used to watch them a lot in the 90s and early 2000s, and one of my favorites, of course, was Model Behavior with Justin Timberlake from NSYNC. Another thing I wanted to talk about is the web series Salad Fingers. I watched this for the first time last year and heard about it from Matt Pat at The Film Theorist and Phantom Strider. And the videos are only 8 minutes long, and it's really, really quite interesting. It's about this creepy alien guy, and it's set in the post-apocalypse in Britain. And, yeah, I don't want to spoil it too much for you guys in case you want to check it out yourselves. It's on YouTube. It's free. And each video is 8 minutes long, so it's really short. And I was able to watch it in a day. And you will be able to watch it in a day, too. Speaking of Halloween, Mickey Joe Theater recently posted a new video about the scariness of musicals that are centered around Halloween or Halloween characters. And quite a few of my favorite musicals are mentioned in this video. And I wanted to talk about my ratings on them a little bit. The first one that he talked about was Addams Family, which I saw at Actor Singers in 2017. And Addams Family is based on the movie that came out in the 1990s with Christina Ricci and Angelica Houston. And my favorite song from the Addams Family musical is called Pulled, which is sung by Wednesday Addams. And she sings this song when she's trying to decide about staying with what her family believes in or doing more stuff with the humans. And for those of you who have watched the Wednesday TV series on Netflix, I was wondering what you thought about it, because Matt and I are planning to watch it, but we want to hear what other people think about it to see if we're actually going to like it. The next musical that Mickey Joe Theater talked about in his video was called, my favorite, Little Shop of Horrors. Little Shop of Horrors, I worked backstage for that at the New London Barn Playhouse. That's where I fell in love with it. I watched the movie every Halloween. We didn't get the chance to watch it this year. The movie came out in 1986, and it stars Rick Moranis and Ellen Greene. The Little Shop of Horrors is currently off Broadway right now, and I believe that Jeremy Jordan is playing Seymour Krelborn. And it's too bad I can't go to New York to see it, because I would really love to go see Little Shop, because it's my favorite musical. My favorite songs from Little Shop of Horrors have always been Suddenly Seymour, and Grow For Me. And my dream role in that musical has always been Ronette, one of the doo-wop singing girls. So I don't ever know if I'm going to be able to be in that play or not. But yeah, the next musical that Mickey Joe Theater talked about in his video is Sweeney Todd, the Demon Barber of Fleet Street. Actor Singers did this show last November, and while it's not my favorite Stephen Sondheim musical, because I'm more into the comedies and the romances, there are some really good songs in this musical. My favorites are Greenfinch and Linnet Bird and Not While I'm Around. And I'm really sad I didn't get to go to Broadway to see Sweeney Todd before Josh Groban left. I think his last show was a couple of weeks ago, but hopefully I'll go to see it if it tours nationally. Although my top favorite tour to see would probably be Shucked. Another musical that he mentioned, that Mickey Joe Theater mentioned in his video is called Rocky Horror Picture Show. I haven't watched this movie this Halloween, but I've watched it in the past, and the Time Warp is a fun song to sing at karaoke and also to dance to. And I was actually first introduced to the Rocky Horror Picture Show in the 90s when I did theater camp at Peacock Players. And we did the Time Warp as our dance and our final performance for our showcase. And now that I'm older, I kind of question the selection of that song to do, because this was for a group of teenagers. I was like 14 at the time, and I didn't understand a lot of the sexual innuendo in that song, in that movie at the time when I was in that theater camp, which was in 2000. So, yeah. So I was just wondering, what are your favorite Halloween and thriller movies and your favorite musicals centered around Halloween? Two Halloween movies I actually forgot to mention in my list were Hocus Pocus and Hocus Pocus 2. I saw Hocus Pocus for the first time 2 years ago on Disney Plus, and I love that movie because the main reason is because Sarah Jessica Parker is one of the Sanderson sisters, and I have been a big fan of hers since she was on Sex and the City, and that was the movie she did before Sex and the City. The sequel to Hocus Pocus came out last fall, and it was not my favorite movie. I mean, the thing that I hated was that they didn't have Allison and Max in this movie, and I really wanted them to be in the movie to see if they like got together or anything, because I guess in the movie it was supposed to be stated that Allison was actually supposed to be a witch, or perhaps a fourth Sanderson sister or something. So that would have been cool to see, but I mean, I liked the new characters that they had. So we give Hocus Pocus an A- and Hocus Pocus 2 a C. So yeah, thanks for tuning in, and leave a comment with your favorite Halloween movies and musicals, and we will see you next Friday for our wrap-up video for Serious Issues in the Media. Have a great weekend.